First, though, this is a very scary but fascinating medical story. Biting your nails, very common habit. You might be watching us this morning, biting your nails at this very minute.
And if you're doing it, stop.
Stop, because our next guest, it was biting his nails which left him fighting for his life. This is dad of 4, Ricky Kennedy. He contracted deadly sepsis and was told he had a 50% chance of survival, leaving him with an eroded collarbone and asthma. I mean, he was terribly
that's
ill.
the blister that developed there.
That's what happened to his collarbone, where the sepsis travelled and started eating away at his bone. I mean, it was horrific. He's here now with his wife, Glenn. Good morning to you both. Lucky to have you here, actually, Ricky, aren't we?
First of all, let's see the state of the thumb now. Let's just hold it there and we're going to see it. So the thumb itself, are you still biting that nail?
Sometimes I do, but I stop when I realise, you know, then I get the file out. So use a file.
Yeah.
So you'd bitten your nails for years?
Yes, all my life.
And then tell us what happened. One day, did you just suddenly feel unwell, or...?
Yeah, we played in the church band. It was a Sunday, and I just felt my finger was just like this, and I got a wee sharp pain in it. By the time I got down to church, which is only about maybe a 10-minute drive, it came up in a blister. A small blister.
Let's see the blister. The blister was the first photograph that we saw there. Okay,
yeah.
so it comes
that
up
was
in this blister.
just about to bust then. So I took a picture in the church with that one there, and it actually bust. And when I was still playing my guitar in the church, and poison, the blood and all that was running in my hand. But I got it dressed. Monday morning, I went to the doctor, and I got a course of antibiotics. You know, a week's course, but it didn't work. She phoned an ambulance and I went to...
So just tell us, so you're at home, you're on your own, because Glenn wasn't there at this moment.
No.
So did you just think, oh, I feel a bit unwell, or I feel dizzy, or I feel sick, or heart attack, or what did you feel physically?
I was just the pains in my neck and my shoulder. And I went to my bed. She was upstairs, and my wife came home early. And she panicked. She seen the state of me.
So what was the state of him, Glenn, when you came home?
He was delirious. His sugar levels had gone up as well. Everything went up. His temperature was sky high. I phoned the doctor in at first, and within minutes, this doctor was well clued up. She said, I need an ambulance right now, because by that time, the redness had started to move down his front of his chest, and it was red all the way down here, and she realised that it was sepsis.
So very frightening
now, Doctor,
for you.
We saw there the blister. At what stage for Ricky here was the crucial point? When the blister bursts, or what is it? And the redness that Glenn is describing there, tell us what that
there's
is.
not necessarily a specific point. So this is an unusual situation. So biting, not to alarm anyone, biting your nails usually doesn't result in infection. But in this case, it resulted in a local infection. That infection spread, and then your immune system overreacted to it, and that's what sepsis is. Right. It's an overreaction to an infection to a point where your immune system starts to then damage your body. And we have to be careful, because there are lots of infections that happen. Only a small proportion result in sepsis. But even so, it still results in about 45,000 deaths every year, which is why we say to people, be aware of the possible signs.
Which are what?
And always ask, could it be sepsis? So in adults, it's things like, you've got to have signs of an infection, so you may have a temperature, a very high temperature or actually a very low temperature, slurred speech, extreme pain or shivering, muscle ache, passing no or little urine, feeling severely breathless, feeling like you might die.
You're nodding to all of these.
And also your skin becomes pale, discoloured or mottled.
Is this what we would commonly know as blood poisoning?
Blood poisoning is the older term for it. So blood poisoning is where the bacteria from an infection get into the bloodstream. That doesn't necessarily always cause sepsis. Sepsis is then what your body does in reaction to it. So it's all a bit semantics.
Early intervention is key. So you got him to hospital, but the prognosis at that point was not good, Glenn, was it? They'd say to you,
it was more like 50-50, because he was in one hospital for the first night, the RAH, and then I got a phone call the next morning to say that they were transferring him from the RAH to the Queen Elizabeth Infectious Diseases ward in Glasgow.
Saved my life.
I mean, I must commend our NHS in Scotland. They were absolutely amazing, and I couldn't thank them enough.
How much time did you spend in a hospital?
God, it was in maybe 2 months. First time, just under that. I was out for a week, back in again for another month, out 10 days, back in again. Every time I went to the doctor, they just phoned the 999.
Something else had
They
happened.
wouldn't touch me.
And that, where it was eating away at your collarbone,
Yeah.
how is that now?
That's still, if I've still got the mark there. But it's,
I mean, that's Ranj, that's just
That's
so
gone, but-
awful to look at, isn't it?
It's eroded, the collarbone.
Yeah.
the pain in this one here is severe. It's septic arthritis is set in here. The doctor will tell us about that, but I can mind that night, you know, when I was, like, my wife came home early, you know, and she phoned my, you know, a friend's quite a big chap, you know, Alan Jardin, and he was trying to get me out of bed, and I was screaming in agony. That's the only thing. I couldn't move a
Pain was
muscle.
awful.
So the pain
But
was...
Ricky, you are alive.
Yeah.
And because you're alive now, you feel you're on a mission to raise awareness about this.
Absolutely. I thought it was a great thing, yeah.
Yeah, so tell us what you want to get out there, what you want to tell people.
Don't bite your nails. It's just the same thing. I mean, I do this unconsciously. All my brothers do it. And the big guy was just he does it. He stopped biting his nails and all. So got to be awareness. And I had a friend and all. He was gardening, and he caught it was the exact same thing. But he was 2 weeks in antibiotics. He was lucky. You know, he had sepsis, but it didn't travel up his arm or something. I was
But I
just
suppose,
unlucky.
Ranj, then it's to, you know, even if it seems a small wound at the time, if you start feeling those symptoms, breathlessness, high temperature, get to a doctor very
Exactly.
quickly.
You know, not all infections are going to result in sepsis. If you are feeling unwell and you're worried, pick up the phone and ask, could it be sepsis, especially if you spot any of those signs. And remember, early treatment is key. That's early antibiotics. And a lot of people talk about, can we prevent sepsis? Well, actually, the only way is to be aware of the signs and catch it early. Be careful when you do have an infection to look out for those signs. Things like good hygiene, looking after your immune system and your general health, and also vaccination. There's a reason we vaccinate against things like meningitis, because those sorts of infections are more likely to result in sepsis, and that's why we recommend them so strongly.
More from Dr Ranj just before 11 o'clock, or after 11 o'clock, after 11 o'clock with his clinic. But Ricky, you're here thanks to the woman beside you, really.
Yeah,
I know those doctors. So Glenn, she spotted things at the right time. She knew you best.
Yeah, I had type 2 diabetes. I think that makes a big difference too, you know. Your temperature goes up with the diabetes.
The ironic thing was, 2 months before he caught it, our friend, whose friend had died from sepsis, says, oh, we'd like to do a fundraiser because we raise a lot of funds for charities, and we'd like to do it for sepsis.
Well, it was meant
and
to
then
be.
within 2 months,
Yeah.
he caught it.
Yes,
But-
ironic.
Guys,
Well,
thank
stay
you
well.
very much.
Thank you very
Stay
much.
and stop biting your nails.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And all your brothers.
Don't tell them.